Diana, stay right there. Builders certainly now making it easy to borrow, reworking, backstopping loans. But as she said, are we encouraging the same kind of behavior that got us into the mess to begin with? And should some people just simply not own a home in this economy? Jim Carr is with us tonight, Chief Operating Officer of the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, and my buddy Jack Berkman, former counsel of the House Banking Committee, which oversees Fannie, Freddie, and other lenders. Good to see you all. Jim, what do you think? Is this a good idea or not on Toll Brothers' part?
Well, you got to give them credit for being creative. This is a terrible market, and the reality of it is that just as we're beginning to get to the end of the foreclosures as a result of the subprime market, we're now in the throes of more foreclosure now driven by unemployment, and it's a lot easier to convert a person from an unaffordable mortgage to an affordable mortgage than it is from no job to somehow keeping a home.
Jack, I know you're in
Bill,
you're in favor of innovation in a free market environment. You have to look at their innovation right now that Toll Brothers is trying here, right?
Let me make some news. Let's get controversial. We have too many people owning homes in the United States. If somebody is struggling, maybe they can't buy food, maybe they can't take care of their children, why do we want them owning a home when what they should be doing is renting?
Jack,
let me tell you why that's the case. Why that's the case is we have something in the U.S. called Fannie and Freddie. And we have had this hyper-bogus securitization in this country for political purposes because you've got a bunch of, this is more of a political issue than an economic issue because you've had politicians robbing this money out for many, many years. So you've had this cheap money thrust into the system. And they have put forth this mantra that we have to have home ownership. Federal government doesn't care about home ownership. What they have cared about for 50 years is promoting Fannie and Freddie so politicos can steal the money. That's the problem.
Okay,
he's giving you a lot to work with there, James.
Yeah, exactly. The fact of the matter is the majority of the subprime crisis has nothing to do with Fannie and Freddie. It has to do with the subprime market. The reality of it is that a lot of people have tried to blame it on expanding home ownership to low and moderate income households. According to the Federal Reserve Board, is nonsense. Only 6% of loans to low and moderate income households of these subprime loans were covered under the Community Reinvestment Act. Turn that over. That's another way of saying almost 95%.
But Jim,
can we get back to Toll for a second and ask the question?
Hold on, Diana, go ahead.
Get back to Toll for a second and ask the question, why are they putting this forth now to sell a house, saying that if you lose your job, we'll pay your mortgage for 6 months? Why don't they say to the people who already perhaps own a Toll Brothers home, not the ones who are thinking about buying them, and say if you lose your job now, then we're going to help you out. We're going to keep you in their home. We're going to keep the foreclosure from happening, instead of trying this incentive that supposedly is going to make you feel better about potentially losing your job, that 6 months is going to be enough time to get another job?
As a marketer, they're doing it because it's a marketing bit. But I'm going to bring a broader question,
but is it really effective?
Guys, as a guy who has created a lot of wealth for himself and did not own a home until 2 years ago, I rented my entire life. Who's to say that the American dream is still owning a home? God forbid we all, Jack, God forbid we all of a sudden people, maybe you don't own homes.
One at a time, Jim.
I think
Jim first.
Donnie is right on the money, and I would say this. Let me make some more news here. What in the world is wrong with foreclosure? All that means is you bring a more worthy borrower in. If you have family A can't afford to pay it, so they move out. So they have paid their mortgage for 5 years. That's what they would have otherwise done. They would have paid rent.
Jim, nothing wrong with that. Not only did you not answer the question, you were out of order there. Jim, you first.
In a normal market, that would make a lot of sense. But last year we had 2.3 million foreclosures, and everyone knows the foreclosures are the epicenter of the collapse of both the credit market and the economy. According to Credit Suisse as well as Moody's.com, we're looking at between 8 to 10 million more. The economy can't take it. The whole today's news has been filled with should the banks be nationalized. The reality of it is the epicenter of the credit crisis and the economy's collapse is the foreclosure crisis.
Not to mention the home prices falling because of the foreclosures. If you don't stop the foreclosures, you don't stop the free fall in home prices. We're all losing money.
But I think it's important to recognize
Jim, I just want to jump in. Jim, stop with the foreclosures for a second.
Not the result of low and moderate income households.
There's a bigger question. Maybe we should rethink and redefine what the American dream is. And maybe it's not necessarily owning a home. Forget about foreclosure. I'm just going forward to young people.
As long as there's a tax
Donnie, but even if you don't do that,
interest on their taxes, then there's going to be an incentive to be a buyer rather than a renter.
Right,
but I think it's important to look at how you got into the problem.
Guys, they're making us wrap here. I'm sorry, we can go on with this all night. Good stuff. I want to thank Jack, Jim, Diana, as always. Okay,
S&P
Case Schiller Home Price Index out tomorrow morning. Tune into Squawk on the Street for the numbers and analysis. at 9 a.m.
And thanks
Eastern.
for the invitation to the housewarming, by the way. Congratulations.
Up next, the real Slumdog Millionaires, 8 Oscars last night, from back alleys to the big leagues, all thanks to a contest of speed. You got to see this.
Yeah. Plus, all eyes on Washington tomorrow. We mentioned this earlier. President Obama and Fed Chairman Bernanke will each go before separate sessions of Congress. How to duck and cover if their words make investors